Buenas tardes, good afternoon everyone. My name is Valeria Miranda and I used to be the director of this organization and I'm incredibly happy to be here this afternoon. I am now curator and director of the Mary Porter Sesnon Gallery at UC Santa Cruz. But this was one of the last exhibitions that I had planned that I had put on the calendar before I left to go work at UC Santa Cruz. So I am just, super honored. Thank you to the Art League for inviting me to do this tonight. I'm very, very honored. And I am incredibly, incredibly honored. There's just not enough words to say what an honor it is to be here with you today, Yermo. Es un placer muy grande, muy importante para mí esta oportunidad de estar aquí hablando con usted. I'm gonna ask some questions, and we'll definitely make sure to save time for folks to ask questions if they would like. I would say, I was just talking to my friend Consuelo that I think that this is a historical exhibition. I think I started this conversation with Yermo about 3 years ago, and he said, and I said to him, let's put all your works in one gallery in this county. And partially very selfish reasons, because I hadn't seen all his work in one gallery. So as a curator, I really wanted to see that happen. But this is really about honoring, the work and the mentorship and the leadership of, this amazing artists that we have in our county, in our region, in our country. And this is ever a much needed moment to celebrate who we are and what makes our work and our contributions to society as Latinos, what makes us incredibly important. So I'm going to get started, and as I said, we'll have time for folks to ask questions as well. So the first question is, because we start at the beginning, can you tell us, Yermo, how you got started as an artist? Have you been doing it since you were young, or did it blossom later?
Okay, but first I want to thank Valerie for asking me to bring my work here, and I want to thank each of you for taking the time to come down. It's very important. I feel overwhelmed with I feel good. I feel a lot of gratitude to be able to be here with you, to be able to share my work with you.
Sorry, I don't understand.
That was not my fault, I
promise. Valerie just asked me, how I got started in art, and I can't remember a time I haven't been involved in art in some way. It's all my life. My father, my uncles, Mariano was my dad, my uncle Miguel, and mi tío Carlos were all musicians. And they wanted me to be a musician, and they gave me a guitar, and they gave me a violin, and they even gave me an accordion. And I just didn't have it for music, you gotta have a certain, I'm even awkward in dancing, because of that beat. You gotta have that little beat to kind of, but I love to draw, and so when they saw that, they just showered me with paper and pencils and books and stuff, and I used to go from page to page and I'd draw everything. And I remember came across this kid one time at a high school reunion, he's from elementary school. He says, he says, I still got a drawing you gave me when we used to live down the street from you, All the kids get together, run around, play soccer and stuff, right? So art has always been a part of my life, you know. And I've never limited myself to any one thing. I've done jewelry, turquoise, precious stones cut and shape, you know, and I love jewelry making. There's so many different techniques and approaches, and I see somebody working with something, and I have to try it too, you know. As a young kid, I didn't really get into it till after military service, you know. I was a jet engine mechanic in the service, you know. I worked good with my hands. And I landed a job with Convair, you know, San Diego, originally from San Diego, National City. And, you know, I had that vision, that dream of getting a good job, getting that retirement, you know, being able to, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And so at a community school, you could get a power plant, airframe power plant license. And I thought, well, if I get that, I'll have better chances for promotion. I'll be a supervisor in no time, you know. And but the thing about it was that every time I'd go to class, I'd have to pass the art department. San Diego City College. San Diego City College. Jorge here knows San Diego City College. And there was this little bridge. And, you know, the trades were always in the back, you know. They always stuck them in the back out of the way. But on my way over there, I had to go by the art department. And I'd spend more time standing in there looking through the window. And one day I finally decided, you know, that's what I want to study. So that was probably 67 that I officially started. Prior to that, it was kind of on and off. A lot when I was little, but not really serious. It was just when I had time, you know. So, did that cover that question?
You did.
Yeah. So.
You certainly did. And when you made that decision, was it an easy decision moving forward, or, you know, did you feel family support, community support as you decided to take that journey as an artist?
Well, no. I had a brand new Pontiac. I had just bought a brand new Pontiac. 1969 Pontiac GTO. Okay, bucket seats, 4 on the floor. 350, was it 350 under that hood? So if I was going to go back to school, I had to get rid of it. You know, the payments, right? My in-laws were crazy. What you're doing, you know? I didn't get no support there. Most people thought I was crazy, insane, but for some reason, that was what I really wanted, what I really felt called me, you know? Art, for me, is I always kind of considered it like a blessing. You know, the Creator gave me something that, something special, you know, so art is always rough. I used to work, when I came north, I started coming north, I lived in San Luis Obispo County for a while, and at one point, I worked in the vineyards down there picking grapes. Ended up staying there pruning, you know, the beginning of the year, and back again, you know, to harvesting, planting, putting new fields in and stuff like that. And I had a trailer. Utility trailer, that I kept some stuff covered up in the back, you know, and I had propane torches for jewelry making. On my silver, I worked with clay. I loved doing pottery. And when I started working jewelry making, cutting stones and shaping stones, I started doing that and putting those stones into my pottery, into my sculpture. So I was mixing medias, you know. And it, so I always kept a space, even when I'm working. You know, I came to Watsonville, I'm painting houses, hanging wallpaper. But I always kept a space. You know, a lot of people ask me, young people, you know, how do I, or what should I do? I always keep a space to do what you enjoy, you know? Because first chance you get, that's where you're gonna be, you know? So, I didn't, it wasn't until 1986, I think, that I started teaching at Soledad Correctional Facility. I taught there for 4 years. I had a fantastic program. California Arts Council, they funded me for, was it 2 years, or for that first year. They gave me a second year. I reapplied for my third year to continue teaching there. They loved my program so much that they granted me 2 years. So that's how I ended up teaching there for 4 years. And at that time, they had to let me go because part of the program was diversity, bringing in artists of different medias, different approaches, different techniques, which I understood very much. But coming out of there, I got involved with Santa Cruz Art Council and the artists in the school programs. And I think that's where I got to meet a lot of teachers. I taught a lot of the local schools and enjoyed it. I loved it. Minty White was one of my favorites. I did an after-school dance class. I'm also Aztec dancer. I taught dance.
That's great.
I always teach the beginners because that was my piece. You know, once they caught it, they were gone. You know, but I had 80 kids, just me, okay, and 80 kids in my dance class. So pretty soon here I go, I got to bring my daughter, you know, Mika over here, you know, and a couple of the other dancers. Sandra was one, and Alicia. Then I had, and I think I even brought my son Caio to come and help us. But I couldn't handle 80 kids all at one time. So.
Wonderful. You are known in this county and beyond as a muralist, and part of the, again, when we had this conversation about 3 years ago about having this exhibition, one of the things that you were telling me is that, you know, you were interested too because you wanted to do more, you know, more of the kind of work that goes into a gallery. Meaning, you know, paintings and sculptures and watercolors, etc. So I was wondering if you can speak about your work, you know, on in 2D work, such as I was surprised, something that I hadn't seen of your work are prints, and so you have, you know, etchings and so on and so forth. So I was wondering if you are these two-dimensional works often studies for murals, or do you also like and enjoy working in a smaller scale?
I like working in a smaller scale. Because I have all these images, ideas in my head. And I can't always put them into a mural. in many cases, the murals are more or less dictated as to depending on who's funding it, where it's going. I always sneak something in there, you know. Matter of fact, this is a very common image. At one point, I would put these plants, you know, big old plants, kind of leafy palms type of thing, and then I always put this face behind it, and I say jade face because I painted it green with the plant, so it matched real nice, right? I wanted to do eagle dancers and Olmec heads, and I was told no, the kids don't know nothing about that. And I know I'm getting off a little bit, but
That's okay.
But that's how I got started in putting these other images into the murals, because then I had to feel comfortable. I had to feel something at peace with myself that I was leaving there for other people. I got into etchings in monotypes. Etchings, for example, we could do additions. The move into etchings was more of an economic move in the sense that I could produce my images, my ideas in multiples, and make it available financially for the people that wanted my work, and which was mostly Raza people at that time, you know. Because when I did a canvas, if I do a canvas, the cost on a canvas, the price of a canvas, so most people couldn't afford it, you know. But I could do an etching. I could do multiples of 15, 20 of that image and make it available at a lower cost for people that were interested. I enjoyed etching the process and everything. I enjoyed working with monotypes, instantaneous monotypes, right? Putting inks down on a plate. I would love using plexiglass with Q-tips and cardboard, and lay it out and have all my different ink colors, you know, ready to go at any time. And couple of hours and I'd come out with a piece, you know, kind of like that one right there behind, next to that one right there, you know, Gerardo. You know, a couple of hours, and then usually your first impression, what they call your first impression, your first print that comes off of there, it's usually heavily saturated with inks. That I got into using newsprint because then I throw that away, you know. And you talk about the second print and even the third print that comes off of it, you know. That third print, I would with very little ink, but you could spray it with paint solvent, thinner, and the texture would kind of create this dot pattern on it. And I love that. I put that paper down on it. That one you have to tighten it up a little bit, you know, so that paper comes down nice and hard. When you pull it off, you get what they call a ghost. And those to me were more beautiful, really nice pieces. I think the one that's called The Spirit of All Nations over on the wall there is an example of that technique. But yeah, I love it. And another reason why I mentioned about moving more into that area, aside from print, from mural painting, is because as I'm getting older, you know, I'm tired of climbing up and down scaffolds. You know, yeah. Up to about 3 years ago, I'm 81 now, okay? Just for I'm 81. Up to 3 years ago, 78, I was still climbing those scaffolds, like I was a kid on a monkey bars, The last 3 years, because of the issues with my knees, I've been getting scaffolding that has stairwells in it, a little drop-down ladder that I can then go from one tier to another. And I don't have to be climbing out. Imagine my leg slipping or something, No, that ground's hard, I don't want to do that. So that's kind of helped me to kind of motivate a little bit away. At some point, I want to step away from mural painting. I have, to my name right now, from the very first mural that I worked on with Gilberto Ramirez. I was a student at San Diego State. I apprenticed him. I'm at about 97 murals. Okay? 97 murals. Yeah. I'm going to hit 100. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to shoot for the Guinness World Record. I want to try. I want to see. I don't think there's anybody that claims how many murals are, at this point. The majority of those murals have been working with youth, either in the schools or in community. Okay? So.
Well, this is a perfect segue for my next question, which is, in all the years that I have known you, you have always demonstrated a great commitment to mentoring younger artists. How did this get started, and why is it important to you?
I think probably the most important reason is because in the mural work that I do, I try to do some kind of cultural imagery. And in a sense, I feel like I'm kind of passing something on. I've always enjoyed working with young people that are interested in learning art, or if it's something they just want to do. Because I used to just pull them off the sidewalk, hey, can you help me? Yeah, and they look at me, and I just, I'd show them how to put that color in there. It doesn't take much to, may help them, hold the brush this way, and big difference, huh? Then if you're holding it, flopping it around back here, right? Then if you're holding it right, there's a big difference in what you're able to do. And I found out from kids that those inexpensive hog brushes don't work as nice. I found out I was limiting their creativity, their achievement, or is that word? Their capability by giving them the hog bristle brushes. Because pretty soon I'm getting this kid on the scaffold, hey, can you hand me a brush? And I go to get the inexpensive brush, I got brushes for the kids because they don't know how to take care of them. Okay? They said, no, the brown one. So I quit buying the green brushes because I saw they're able to, they handle it, but good tools, good work.
That's right.
That's all. Right. So I quit buying inexpensive paper, inexpensive brush, inexpensive watercolors. It doesn't work the same as if you have good quality materials, If you really want somebody to accomplish something, because the important in them accomplishing something is that self-esteem that comes with it, right? the achieving something. I have kids over the years come to me, bump into me in a store or copy shop someplace, and they come over and I know you don't remember me. I know you don't remember me. And I look at them, and I look in their eyes, and I see this little kid, you know. Eyes don't change, right? The eyes don't change. I remember these kids, and I remember their smiles and the excitement and they tell me those moments working with me on that mural are the most memorable moments that they had in their life. You know? So that gives me a purpose, you know? That gives me a purpose in my life. If that's my purpose, I love it. You know, I feel good about it, you know, to help others achieve something that makes them feel good about themselves, you know? Gives them something memorable throughout their life. And if it deals with cultura, because of times like we are facing right now, it is important to know about our culture and our tradition. And I try to put that as much as I can in the work that I do, you know? And I think a lot about that right now. I had a point in my life where I allowed anger to get to me. And it created a poison in me. I got sick, you know, sick. I was in bed sick, you know, because I was so filled with this anger and frustration that it wasn't good for me. So my focus has been to give something to people visually. I want to live and express myself out of love and appreciation. It's that duality, that negative and that positive. And I chose, at that point in my life, I had to realize, what do I want to paint? What do I want to pass on to people? You know, I want to pass on those things that make us good people, strong people, proud people, you know, that gives us that internal strength to persevere whatever we have to confront. So I enjoy sharing that.
Just to echo what you were just saying, these are pretty difficult moments, you know, in the life of this country and the world. And I would love if you could speak a little bit about the role of the artist in these times that we're living in.
To motivate, to educate, you know, to give us a sense of history. I see art a lot as documenting. I see art as a very powerful tool, you know. that we're capable of utilizing for whatever we want to accomplish. We can use art to tear something down, or we can use it to build, you know. I like to use it to build, you know. I don't know what else I could say about that, you know.
Any advice for young artists that may feel really discouraged in a time like this?
Keep drawing. You got to, yeah. Drawing, I love, I think, you know, we always have all these aspirations, visions of what we want to accomplish, and we have to understand that it takes time to achieve those things that we want to do, we want to accomplish, you know. And I'm speaking in the sense of that even myself as an artist, you know, I do something and I have to step back and I say, wow, did I just do that? You know, I'm doing things, okay? I'm doing things that at one point in my life, when I went through an art gallery or an exhibition, I admire somebody's work and I said, wow, I want to be able to do that. And then I find I have these moments, wow, did I just do that, you know? It takes time, you know? Like I would tell the kids, you know, this basketball player, you know, he doesn't go out there and just the first time creates something, you know? I mean, becomes a expert in creating something, you know, playing, he has to practice over and over in order to achieve something. And that's the way it is with art, you know? Matter of fact, that's the way it is with anything, right? You know, we want to achieve something, we have to continue to practice, to repeat, to build, you know? I like working with cement too, and bricks, and imagine all these little designs. Everything is an art, you know? I'm watching how they make things with bamboo. That's incredible, you know? The knowledge, and then to be able to do these things with your hands, you know? I never limited myself to any particular thing, you know? I did pottery. And when I learned to do jewelry, I combined the stone and the abalone and the jade and turquoise and into one thing and the other, you know. I didn't say, well, this is pottery and it's got to be, no. And then I started, instead of making just bowls and vases, I love looking at the work that our ancestors did during pre-Columbian times, you know. You got the monkeys and the lizards and the, you know, so I started putting stuff on that. You know, there's no limit to what you can do, you know. I worked with a man from Mexico at one point, and we were making tejas and ladrillos, making big ovens, probably half the size of this space in here. You know, you walk in there and you're putting all these roof tiles. And we went to get the clays and found different earths that if you work them right, they work just like clay does, you know? But you got to know what you're looking for, you know? So I worked with leather. I made moccasins, I made drums. My father and my uncles, they used to make the maracas, the claves, the güiros, the congas, the bongos. They used to make the musical instruments for other musical groups, you know, so they didn't limit themselves. My father was a painter. My uncle Carlos. He did jewelry making. He worked with silver and turquoise and all these different precious stones. And then I had a tío, my tío Miguel, the youngest one of the three, in his basement. He lived in Tijuana, and in his basement, underneath his house, he had a taller, a workshop where he made violins. Imagine the wood, the preparation of the wood, and he made violins. I remember when I was real little, you know how the big dining room tables with the big claws, legs with the big claws, you don't see them too often no more. I was about this high, okay, and and my uncle, he's got a vice on one end of the table, and he's got this little stick, and he's pulling and twisting on this something, you know. He was making the hilos, the chords for the violins, you know, and I asked him, tío, ¿qué haces? ¿Qué es eso? He said, pues, tripas de gato, me dice. But that's what they would make you know, they did everything, you know. And they didn't limit themselves to anything, so I would say to young people, you know, go for it, you know, just keep going for it, yeah, and don't limit yourself to, it's got to be a painting or everything is related in one way. It's learning to work with the tools. What will these tools do, you know? Etching, I love etching. Working with acid, you know, you got to be careful. I tried, I went into monotypes and then I went into lithography. Lithography is pretty much drawing. I love the drawing process, but when you're working with those chemicals, they're very toxic. And so I didn't do very much in that area, you know? So, drum making, gourd making, I teach the dancers, ¿verdad? How to put their shakers together and their outfits and the feather work that we would do, or the fans, the headpieces, shields. It's incredible where art comes in, especially when it deals with culture, you know, so. Yeah, you just keep going. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Before I open up for questions, I have one more question, but I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the gorgeous work that that the Art League has done in laying out this show. I feel especially excited to be in this space right here with these with these gorgeous murals, facing each other. I remember when we had the conversation about you creating these three
canvases.
The pandemic hit and the lockdown happened, and we didn't see these until much later. So it makes me especially happy that they're here, facing each other in conversation. So my last question for you before we open up for folks' questions is, I know you mentioned that you want to hit the 100 murals.
Yeah.
And so my question for you is, what are you working on? What are you doing right now?
Okay.
Any murals or any projects that you're working on?
I'm working on developing the drawings for a large canvas, 6 foot by 12 feet. That is going to go to the University of San Diego. They got a new building, and they been asked to do a canvas for it. And I'm also working right now on developing drawings, extend and what do you call it? Restore probably the first personal mural that I did in San Diego in the Centro Cultural de la Raza, of which I'm one of the founders. So that mural I painted in 1970-71 and worked on it for over a period of 14 years.
Wow.
I didn't finish it till 1985 because I had moved from San Diego and then went back to San Diego and then left San Diego again. So I finally, they said, come on down, finish this off, And actually, that mural was quite an interesting project, how I got, based on the duality, based on pre-Columbian imagery, but trying to reflect it in a contemporary way so that when we look at it, we can understand it, La dualidad. That mural brought me to the point where I realized that nothing is ever done. Yeah, nothing is ever done. You have to reach a point where you're comfortable walking away. Okay?
That's always something hard for artists.
That mural because as I learned and, I became aware of things, I tried to reflect it in that mural. And so I was constantly updating it, so to speak, right? And then I realized, I just got to that point. I just got to
let it go.
Let it go. Yeah. But I worked on it for over a period of about 14 years,
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So.
All right.
So I'm going to, they want me to extend it out a little bit further. Plus the paints that I used at that time, this is long before there's any mural paints over here in the United States that I know of. There was no, all these different brands that are out there right now. I use Sinclair paints. Sinclair doesn't exist anymore either. Okay, so that's how old those paints. But they had nice custom colors, fire engine red, local orange, so that's what that mural is painted for. So I'm gonna come in and work with it. I work with Proline now. No, not Proline. Proline is the murals, the paints that we use for Chicano Park, the murals at Chicano Park, which is a part of my work. Nova Color. Okay, Nova Color. You guys got to remind me. Nova Color. So that's what I'm working with now. So I'm going to go over the whole mural with Nova Color, And of course, it's going to change a little bit, because this is almost 50 years later. Okay, so can I talk a little bit about that canvas?
Absolutely, please. Of course. Please.
That canvas was my capstone project. I went back to school. I told you I went to school in San Diego Community College and then San Diego State in the late 60s. When I got involved in murals in the fall of 1969, I kind of dropped out of college, okay? I dropped out of school and went into mural painting. Well, I had about a year at San Diego State. I had a couple of years at City College, and I wanted to. This was early 2000s. I got tired of waiting for people to do me a website. I wanted to document everything that I was involved with because I realized that documentation is important if you want to get funding along the way. You have to, they want to know, people want to know, what have you done? What can you show us? Okay, so that meant I needed to document my the work that I was doing. So I wanted to publish some kind of a book of my work. I wanted to set up a website of the work that I was doing, have it active, and you know, some video, photography, graphics became an important part. So I went back to school to study graphic digital art, right? InDesign and everything else that I needed in order to do those things. So at some point I realized what I'm coming to my capstone project. Your capstone project is upon completing something, your capstone project is
The graduating project sometimes.
yeah. So mine was to document things. So I had to document something. I had to publish a book on something. This became the object of my capstone project. I created this mural in order that I could put a website up that documents the process. I published a book so that I could document the process of the mural, and I did a video of the process. So I used photography, I used video, I set up the website, I did the book. So this is the project that I created in order to do my capstone. I ended up gifting it to Ocean, and I don't know if whether anybody's here from Ocean. Ohlone, Costanoan, Esselen Nation. You can look them up on the web. They got a website. But I gifted it to them. I have no place where I can put it.
I was curious about that.
It was up in the student center at CSUMB, probably for a good 8 to 10 years, and then they moved, and they didn't have a place that they could put it. They didn't have a space for it. So Louise, the chairwoman for Ocean, asked me if I'd come down and take it apart, you know, roll it up. And so I did that, and it was in storage for I don't know how many years. I think they're still looking for a place that it could hang. If not, hopefully Bernie right here and his brother Juan can help me take it apart. They help me. These guys help me. Edgar too. I don't know if he's around, but yeah. And I wanted to give thanks also to Eugene and the staff here. They've been wonderful to work with. I've really felt very comfortable. I don't exhibit very often, you know. Gallery work as a gallery just hasn't called me that much, you know. I enjoy, like I tell the people, I enjoy being out on the streets. I'm used to being on the streets. I grew up on the streets. I work on the streets, you know. I like that relationship that you have with community, you know? Even I'm working on the mural for community bridges one morning, and the interaction of people passing by, you know, there was early in the morning. Well, not really, no, because it was in the fall, early winter. COVID had hit. I was supposed to work with students. There's a continuation school right there, Community Bridges in Watsonville. And everybody kind of went on lockdown, and Ramon, the director, the CEO, says, Yermo, you're going to be on your own. There's no school, COVID. He says, I can't hold. He was holding me back from working on it to try and get the kids, organize something for these kids to work with me, but it didn't happen. So, but I still had a lot of people come in and help me work with it. But what I wanted to say was one morning, I'm just setting up, starting to work, you know, this lady crossing the street, and she's watching me, looking at me, and she's got this beautiful smile, you know. And finally, when she gets over to my side of the street, you know, I turned and looked at her, and I said, buenos días, and she said, buenos días, que te bendiga Dios para que sigas pintando. Aww. You know, so, and you know, something like that, you know, it means God bless you, you know, may you always continue painting, you know, and that's, you know, just those kinds of things just touches your heart, you know, and gives you that ánimo to continue, right?
Absolutely.
So.
Well, since you mentioned Watsonville, I just want to give a big shout out to Watsonville becoming a cultural district. All right, questions. Oh, he was ready.
When I started this, Jesus.
To listen to you. You know, Juana Alicia says the same thing. She doesn't want to go, she's another muralist, doesn't want to do the scaffolding anymore. But I wanted to go back to you. I was in Barrio Logan, I was in that community house when the Brown Berets took it over, and then they established Chicano Park, and that's when you did your first mural. I was wondering if you could talk about the whole onda, the history of Chicano Park, and how you got involved with that first mural, if you could.
Yeah, well, the park, what happened is the community had been promised a piece of land for a park, you know. There was no parks in that area. There was a lot of junkyards and industrial. It seems like industrial companies, packing houses, warehouses. It seems like they were kind of taking over, you know, especially access to the ocean got cut off. The city of San Diego had promised this community many times to put a park in there, and it wasn't happening. Finally, that bridge went in, Coronado Bay Bridge, came off of Highway 5 and shot right through community Logan Heights, wiped out another section all the way down to the bay, to the ocean's edge, and they started to, the community thought, well, they were excited because they thought, hey, finally, you know, we're going to get a park. But what happened instead was they started turning the place into a highway patrol parking station, you know, parking lot. And so people just, you know, said, you know what, if they're not going to give us a park, we'll create our own park. And that's basically what took place, you know. People came, they started digging up the ground, planting nopales, maguey, anything that they had available, and they actually took over that property. The city of San Diego gave in to them, and of course, within a few years, they started creating an actual park. I was there when that took place, you know. It was 1970, April 22nd, 1970. I'm trying to think of 1970. We had just gotten the Ford, not the Ford building, that's another incident, but we had just gotten the building for the Centro in Balboa Park. And we just had the opening the month before. I've got a newspaper article, and I think it was even, it might even be in April. I've got a newspaper article that came out in the cover of La Verdad, of which Jorge right here, he goes back to the late 60s, this man right here, Jorge Gonzalez. but there was a photograph. You took the photographs. This man took the photographs of we had a group of dancers, ballet folklorico. We did an opening for the Centro. It was in April, also 1970, that I remember, and they let some doves loose, you know, and he did a collage with the photographs, and he put a picture of me right there on top, you know, of this collage, and I'm talking, and I'm not sure where that picture came from, but I was chairman of Toltecas en Aztlán, the artist group that initiated the murals at Chicano Park. Mm-hmm. So 1970, we had just finished the mural at San Diego State with Gilberto Ramirez. I took off for Mexico because I never heard of Diego Rivera, Siqueiros. I never heard of these guys. You know, the only kind of art I knew was a canvas or something that goes in an office or in your home, your living room. And now we're talking walls, okay? It's a whole nother concept, another reality, another world. So I had to go to Mexico to find out what's going on. I come back, the mural in La Dualidad, I'm working on that. We went to San Isidro, did some murals in the park, in the teen center there. I went to Plasencia in Los Angeles and did a mural there on the side of a restaurant called Tlatepaque. And by the third year, we were coming up to the third anniversary at Chicano Park, and we wanted to, you know, we had a crew of muralists here. We had materials. I think I was trying to understand everything, you know. The late 60s, early 70s, I experienced a lot of things. I got involved in art. I got involved in the farm workers' struggle with the boycott on grapes. Involved with the Centro, the Chicano Park, Toltecas, indigenous rights, indigenous roots, and I wanted to learn more, you know. And there's only certain places you can learn certain things. And I think that's what Red One was about. I learned a lot of things, not just the different, how to work leather or make jewelry, but in regards to ceremony and traditions and culture, you know, because even there, I made another journey to Mexico as part of, we took our dancers down there for ceremonies that were taking place down there. And eventually it brought me here to Watsonville. And we took these dancers down to Mexico too, you know. So it's been a part of my journey, just that whole process. And for me, it's all been about learning. I think it's learning who I am, where I come from, you know. Learning who my mother was, who my father was, what tribal roots I'm not Hispanic. I'm not Hispanic. I'm not Latino. You know, it doesn't ring with me. It doesn't do nothing for me. You know, I'm indigenous. But because of the colonization and the mixing of cultures, traditions, societies, I think a lot of us, you know, I'm more comfortable referring to myself as Chicano, because Chicano for me was what we used to say then, you know, was a Mexican with an attitude, you know. Yeah. It's something different. I'm not just, you know, los mexicanos me hablan en inglés, los americanos me hablan en español o algo así, but it's kind of the reverse for me, you know. I feel like I straddle a fence culturally, you know. One day I'm here, the other day I'm over here. You know, my life, I try to reflect who I am in my life the best I can. So I learned a lot about I learned about the Sweat Lodge, Sundance, sacred ceremonies that most people in urban settings don't know anything about. And the instruments that are used, the attire that is used, the protocol that is used, the respect. We acknowledge the indigenous people of the area. I know that's part of, I saw it on some of the paperwork for the Art League. You notice that in my murals, if it doesn't deal specifically, well, I could have done a mural for my capstone project on anything, on the agriculture of the valley, on anything. I chose to do it on the original people of this area, to acknowledge them, to pass that information, educate others about it, you know. But I always go back to San Diego, you know. I'm constantly going back, and I think I'll constantly keep going back if I don't end up back there at some point. I love Watsonville. I love Watsonville because it reminds me of National City, you know. Of course, we lived on the west side, National City. That's where the packing houses are. That's where the junkyards are, you know. But that's where we grew up, you know. We didn't have pavement, sidewalks, but you know what? Those were probably my happiest times. Those areas that I grew up. We had nothing. I made everything. I made scooters, I made slingshots, I made bows and arrows, you know. I found a way to make these things, you know. Nowadays, you know, I don't see kids go outside, you know. I don't see kids go outside, yeah. The technology is separating us. So what I learned, our connection with the earth, our connection with the elements. Anytime I go to the beach, to a river, to a spring, to a pond, I acknowledge that water. If I feel that gust of wind, I turn, I face it, and I make an offering. I acknowledge it, you know? Acknowledging it, to me, is very important. It's probably one of the most important things that I've learned in my life. Yeah.
Okay, I see one burning question over here.
Just real fast, just expressing myself today and seeing your artwork. I've never seen your artwork, right? It just means a lot to me, and I see how much love and passion you put into these pieces. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, thank you.